Hi guys, I'm here with you with the first season, session 5. So we're gonna start with the definition of the segments, vertex, and these kind of topics on the platform of the Cinema 4D. These definitions that I'm teaching you now are all same in different platforms like Cinema 4D, 3D Max, or even the Mondial 3D Studio. So you can learn these definitions and these topics and then apply it in any other platforms to use your 3D objects. Because in the words of the 3Ds, there are some standards and they defined these standards back then, and almost all studios and all platforms are using the same standards. For example, for making this cube, you need to have the X, Y, and Z. For example, you see now the lines here in this cube. I try to do somehow that you can see the lines better. Now you see here the lines, and every surface has also three lines for itself. So every surface has 4 lines that one of them is joined to another surface in this cube. And I'm gonna try that you can see the lines better. As you see it, so every surface has its own lines. For example, as you can see, this line, for example, is common with the other surface here. Now I'm gonna increase the segment here. I'm gonna increase the segment of X. As you see one segment has been added to other X's. 1, 2, it is written 3, as you see. Now we change this one also to 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And as you see, our segments are all like 1, 2, 3, and one line. They are now 3. Now I'm gonna change it to 4, 4, and 4. So now what does that mean? What is the meaning of this? Our cube is now on the solid form. What is the solid form? Actually, the thing that I'm now explaining for the people who knows already 3D is simple, so they can even escape this part. I'm just explaining these things for the people who are not that much professional in this field, so it doesn't hurt if I mention it again here. But actually, for the people who are not that much professional in the 3D object areas, it's better that I explain these basic things. And as I mentioned, it could be a little bit boring for the people who are professional in the 3D objects, so they can just escape this part. So when we want to make a 3D object like this cube here, so we don't want to always have a cube or a wall. Sometimes we need to have a really complicated object. So always we make a really simple 3D object, and then we make another complicated object out of the basic object that we had in the first place. For example, now I want to make a window out of this cube here. Now I want to explain it really simple that you understand what I mean. So actually we need the segments just in the case that we want to make a really complicated 3D object out of this simple object here. So this object is now a solid object here, which means it's just a simple cube. Now in every single surface we have 4 segments, as you can see. And if I was just change the segments to 1, our output would be like the same, because at the end of the day we would have a cube. Look, now I'm going to change every segments to 1, and at the end of the day we would have a cube. So our output would be like same, one simple cube. But when I increase the segments, actually I'm increasing the size of the file. So why I do this? You know why? Because I increase the segments and I increase the size of the file because I told to the system that it should consider the special features also. So now let's take a short break and I'm gonna come back again. Okay, now we have a really solid object and I wanna say take the point. You see, where is my mouse? I say take the point. Select the point that I can make another 3D object out of my simple cube. You see, now I'm gonna take this point and just drag it out and change its shape. Now you understand when we increase or decrease the vertex, what does that mean? So by taking the points out, I'm making a little more complicated 3D objects. So sometimes I take out the point and sometimes I want to take out the line. So I want to select the line and by changing the line make another 3D object, as you see. Or I can take the line here, as you see. Okay. Okay, my system has a little bit problems with the graphic cards. So for example, I take these two lines and I wanna just pull it out. So sometimes I wanna take an object out, for example, a polygon. For example, I'm gonna select these parts here, as you see, these 4 parts. And then I will say, okay, now extrude this file. Extrude it exactly like this. So now you know what's the difference between a solid object and a complicated object. And every single of these dots has meanings now. It's not a really simple 3D cube on our scenes. Actually, it could be a different objects. For example, it can be like a really simple window here. Or for example, we take it out from another side and it would be another 3D object. Now you understand why we make segments. But one of the huge problems in the library of Three.js is that the standards of all 3D programs is that polygons are a square, so in a square shape. And they cannot be a triangular, for example. So that's the reason why it's really hard to manage it, as you see now. You see? So I explained you the topics of this session and I'm gonna review it again. We can take the points and dots. So you're able to take the points and just pull them. And also you can pull the lines like this, and also you can pull out the surface. And your 3D object would just change its shape from a solid 3D object. And now you have an editable file. But now we have a problem here. Actually, let me close this window first. Yeah. As you see, it's surface. So let me increase it so that you can see it's better. Yeah. So as you see, our polygons here are like triangulars. You see? And selecting them is a little bit difficult on Three.js because they are like triangles. So it takes more time if you want to make a studio out of Three.js. But for now, I don't want to go to the details. I just wanted to mention it. So by now, we explained some of the definitions, some of the terms that are really important that you know for making 3D objects. For example, geometry, as I told you here, I explain it, or like material. And at the end of the day, the renderer can render our scenes and our camera. As I'm gonna just put it down there at the end here. In the next session, I'm gonna teach you the animation, because it's really important that you understand the animation, because when our 3D objects moves, you understand better the terms when I want to teach you, and I don't want to just teach you as the 3D object is moving and you don't have any idea about the animation. So I hope that you have a really good time. See you.